are an American citizen who does not want to ashcan the American system of government, who doesn't want a strongman authoritarian system where the whole government is one guy and everything else just exists to serve him, if that is not the kind of country that you want, then yesterday's election means you have more to do for your country than you have ever done before. Because now is when the rubber really hits the road, right? We don't just flip a switch and the American system of government is gone. Democracy is gone. It doesn't work like that. I mean, not to be boring here for a second, but just getting very real. We now are just another one in the list of countries that has decided to, hey, what the heck? Let's try the strongman thing. Let's let democracy go. Let's put in an all-powerful guy instead, see how it goes. There are many more countries in the world governed by that kind of a system than there are governed by ours. We are the only 248-year-old multiracial, pluralistic democracy in the world. And shall we keep it? A lot of our fellow Americans say we shouldn't. Now we know. Now we know for sure. But a lot of Americans, tens of millions of Americans, say we should keep that system, which means time to fight for it.
That's Rachel Maddow. The day, I guess Wednesday, when it was clear that Donald Trump had won the election. A shocking time for a lot of us, not of course me. I am actually recording this show on Friday at like 6 in the evening Eastern time. You're going to see it a couple hours after we put it on video. And part of the reason there's two reasons for that. Number one, I fell down my stairs and gave myself a concussion last Friday. And number two, Tuesday, I have myself been trying to formulate my thoughts and look at the news and decide what the priorities are. And I'm sure you have too, or maybe like me, actually avoided the news for a couple of days. But Rachel puts it well. It's clear now at this point, for whatever reasons, and we could talk about that briefly, but a lot of our fellow Americans decided that maybe going with an authoritarian who lied to them was the answer. And that changes a lot for what we were planning in our future, I'm sure. But let's talk about what they're planning. Now, I'm going to show you some clips that you probably don't want to see because it's going to be our friends in the Republican Party talking about their big plans. Let's start with, I believe this is Congressman Klein, I think, with Marie Bartiromo, talking about their big plans for budget cuts.
Is that doable, to cut $2 trillion out of the budget?
It absolutely is. I'm a member of the Republican Study Committee, which is the policy arm of the Republican Conference, and we've come up with a balanced budget in 7 years. The Budget Committee's put one out that balances in 10 years. We can do it and make sure that we focus funding toward the American people and not toward bureaucracies in Washington.
Yes, the bureaucracies in Washington. The United States government discretionary budget, the total discretionary budget that Congress votes on, is about $1.7 trillion. They've literally been running this number around $2 trillion they're going to cut. Okay, I'm not a genius, but that's not possible. Okay, you can't shut down the entire United States government. No matter how many bureaucrats in Washington they think they can stop, it's not going to happen. And there's another reason it's not going to happen. That's this next clip. And this is the brand new Senator Jim Banks of Indiana talking about the other big plan they've been talking about quite a bit, or one of the other big plans they've been talking about quite a bit, and that's deporting a bunch of people right away. Here's a Jim Banks talking about that big plan.
Do you see all undocumented immigrants as should they all be kicked out of the country?
Well, some conservative estimates say that there are at least 15 million illegals who have come into the country on Joe Biden's watch. And it's my hope that we deport every single one of them that we can. And it starts with deporting violent criminals who are in the United States, who came here illegally, who have committed violent crimes. And I think once you do that, President Trump is committed to making that his first and top priority when it comes to mass deportation. And then also on top of that, increase the penalties on businesses who hire illegals in our country and take away the incentive for them to be here and for them to come here. And I think many of them will leave on their own. But this, the mass deportation plan needs to be an immediate focus of the House and the Senate, I believe.
Immediate focus of the House and the Senate is going to be deporting allegedly 15 million people who just got here, which of course you and I both know is complete horseshit. And this is in that same interview where she was talking about business organizations, especially agricultural business organizations, saying, hey, just so you know, if you deport all these people, we won't be able to run the agriculture industry in America. And they're like, nah. In the same interview, Jim Banks says, well, you don't understand. Clearly, the American people have given us a mandate to do this. And you're going to hear that a lot, that this is a mandate from the American people to do whatever they want to do. And we could talk about that a little bit. But I want you to leave this last thing as an opening. This is a tweet that was posted by one of the most horrible people in America, Nick Fuentes. And this is what Nick Fuentes said, right? And you may have seen this floating around. He tweeted out, "Your body, my choice, forever." Meaning American women will now be nothing but incubators for them. And I've seen some really horrible, sexist, monstrous shit being sent around the internet. There's reports of college women being sent these words by young men on campus already. And I mean, horrible racist stuff being sent to black folks. Apparently, there was a whole series of texts that went out to black Americans saying that they were being selected to work on plantations, coordinated. That's what we've got. And so we are here. And this week's show is not going to be a huggy-feely show. I'm not that guy. You guys should know that by now. I mean, actually, I am kind of that guy. But I'm not going to do that. And we're not going to talk about why we won or why we lost or any of that. That's just not who I am. It's just not who I am. But this is who I am. I have a tattoo, right? And it says, "I'm not done yet." And a lot of folks are feeling pretty bad right now. And they feel like maybe we're done yet. They're done. Well, we're not done yet. And we're going to talk about that. So let's get on with the show. All right, welcome back. I am Fred Wellman, host of On Democracy, FP Wellman. You are in the right place here at the On Democracy podcast channel and on our friends on Midas Touch Network. I guess the first thing to ask is, what the fuck just happened? I don't know. You guys, my last show a week ago talked about why we were winning. The fundamentals of the race were great for a brilliantly run campaign by Vice President Harris and Governor Walz. In just over 100 days, they put together a remarkable campaign. The fundamentals were right. Momentum was on their side, apparently. Turnout in the early vote was going well. The message was good. I believed all the things I told you. I never felt one time in all the time we've been talking about this for the last, well, frankly, year, but especially in the last 100 days, that I was fibbing or mythologizing or being a shill for the Democratic Party, as I'm usually accused of almost every single day, several times a day. Never once, in my experience, we're in the right place. But they only had 100 days. In the end, there wasn't a 2-year primary process for the Democratic Party. President Biden was running, and there really wasn't any motivation to examine his record to a great extent. There wasn't a campaign until the last 100 days when President Biden stepped down. And that's a hard hill to climb. And then I found this fascinating chart I'm going to put up. This is just amazing. I wish I'd seen it before Tuesday. This is a Financial Times analysis. Finds that in the first, this is a shot. I know you can't see this chart here on the camera. Matt's putting it up for me. It's hard to read. I don't want you to read it. I just want you to see it. But what's interesting about this is that this is the first time since they started tracking in 1905 that every single incumbent party in the developed world, so all the different democracies in the entire world since 1905, it's the first time in history that every single incumbent party in the developed world lost a vote share. And in that, the Democrats actually did better than most countries as far as what they lost. But that tells you that once again, like inflation and once again, like the pandemic, this wasn't a uniquely American thing. I really kind of wish I'd known that before. But here we are. A second chart I found fascinating, let's put this one up, Matt, this is misinformed views on immigration, crime, the economy correlated with ballot choice. So this is one that just came out from Reuters. And you can't look closely. I'll put it up closer and maybe blue full screen, Matt. But it shows, like, for example, the first one is violent crime rates are at a near or all-time highs in most American cities. This, of course, is false. They've never been lower. But R plus 26, over 20s. So more people believed that than didn't believe it. So on the ballot choice. So that was a major issue with Republicans who voted for Donald Trump. This belief that crime was out of control. And it goes on that inflation has declined over the last year. Republicans plus 19 don't believe that, even though it's factually true. This is a good one. The U.S. stock market is at near all-time highs. These are all true things that the majority of Republicans don't believe. And even Democrats, if you look at D plus 20 in the stock market. So there's reasons. And I'm not going to spend any time pointing fingers or looking, because it's not done yet. As we speak, they're still counting ballots. There's still, I believe, last time I checked, 18 or most 17 congressional seats that haven't been decided. So control of the House hasn't been decided yet. And where the control ends up being, whoever gets, it's going to be a very thin margin. On top of that, there's key races like the Pennsylvania Senate, Arizona Senate have not been decided yet. They're still counting votes. Matter of fact, one of my PACs I work with is going to be sending out texts tomorrow to California and Arizona voters to help them volunteer to cure ballots. There's so many ballots where the signatures didn't match because a lot of kids don't know how to sign their sign. They're trying to cure the provisional ballots. I mean, there's just so much going on. Plus, a lot of the analysis you guys hear right now, a lot of the fighting you're hearing, the infighting you're hearing within the Democratic coalition is based on exit polls, not actual data, because the real data that we get from voting patterns won't come out for several months. So a lot of the prognosticators and the political pundits and the attackers are basing this on very loose exit polls that may or may not be completely accurate. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do that, because here's why, you guys. The train's still coming. The train that we're on is still running. And no matter how tired we are and how angry or scared, because there's a lot of scared people in our country right now. If you've got friends who are LGBTQ, let me tell you, I have never had so many hard conversations as my friends who are LGBTQ. Or people like, me, you guys know if you follow the show, I'm being sued by Mike Flynn for $150 million over a single tweet. It sounds ludicrous, but there's a message there. I got it. I got that message the first night that Trump won. I woke up Wednesday knowing the message that sends me. And so a lot of people in our country are scared. But the problem is the train's still moving. And, I was talking to some friends today and they said, Fred, how do you, what are you doing? How can you start? Because I've been really punching my organizations that I work with to, all right, let's move out. And they're like, well, no, we want to think about things. We got to make some plans. Like, no, we got to go. We got to move. I'm an old helicopter pilot. For those who don't know, I flew helicopters in the Army for 18 years. 18 years total in my career of 22. And the thing about being a helicopter pilot is there's an old joke that there's no one more pessimistic than helicopter pilots, because at any one moment, anything can go wrong. And there's millions of moving pieces in this thing, and an aircraft that's not supposed to fly. And at any one moment, a simple screw coming loose can end your life. So helicopter pilots remain some of the most pessimistic people on Earth who are constantly looking for a way out. You're trained as a helicopter pilot that the engine quits, that you can auto-rotate, which is a glide, into a field or a street or even a parking lot. I practiced in parking lots to land in a cliff. So you're actually trained to constantly be looking for places to land in case the engine quits. You're constantly thinking about what happens if the tail rotor goes out. There's all these things. And God forbid, if you ever date a helicopter pilot, rattles drive them crazy. I'm just warning, if you've got some in your life that used to be in the aviation business and something rattles in their car, it makes them crazy. And I'll tell you why. Rattles in helicopters are very, very bad. It's just a thing. Anyways, but I tell you that story because I don't do navel gazing, right? I'm not one of those people who can sit around. You are trained for most of my entire adult life. I was in a business in the Army, trained to figure out what's gone wrong, come up with a quick solution, figure out what our assets are. You're like, okay, here's what we got. I still got water. I got bullets. I got gas. Let's go, right? That's what I was always trying to do, be it Ranger School when I was learning how to be a Ranger, be it flying helicopters in combat. You don't have a lot of time to navel gaze. And so you move and you move fast. And that's how I am. And so that's why I'm telling you guys today, here it is Friday now. It's been 4 days. Okay, I get it. We're grieving, we're mourning. Some people are scared. I get all those things. I've seen those things. I lost 2 men in combat in Desert Storm during the air war. I left their memorial ceremony to fly a mission, an emergency mission. Because whether I liked it or not, mourning my men or not, the war was still going. And I hate to say it, we're in that same situation now. And a lot of you have never served, and you don't understand that. But welcome to my world. Whether we like it or not, the Trump administration is being formed, and they have plans. as we saw at the beginning, they are making plans. We saw those videos. Trump and his cronies have already gotten to work to take charge in just 2 months. In less than 60 days, on January 20th, Donald Trump will take over on January 20th, and they've got a plan. You've seen all the shows. You've talked about Project 2025. Maybe a lot of our fellow citizens didn't, but I'm hoping that if you've been watching this show and you hang out with me a little bit, you've heard of Project 2025. And here's the video. I want to play this video for you of Trump. Trump put this video out. It's long. And I know you're sick of Donald Trump and him, but I want you to see this Trump. This is his day. He just put this out, I want to say today or yesterday, but this is Trump's day one plan for after the election and what he's going to do. And it's terrifying. Okay. I mean, I'd love to tell you it's not, but it is. And he's got a plan. And so here we go.
Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all, and corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively. Second, we will clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them. The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe even possible. Third, we will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications. So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They're lied to. Fourth, to expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our country apart, we will establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and corruption, and there are plenty of them. Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy.
Yeah, I can't take it anymore. I know you can't. He goes on for 10. You've heard him already. Some are more evil than others. Some more ridiculous than others. The final one of 10 is he's going to push for term limits for Congress as his way to get rid of the deep state in Congress. I played that for you, even though I'm sick of hearing that voice, and we're going to hear a lot more of it, because we need to understand that they've been planning for 4 years to go back into power and to have a plan on day one. And you know, the typical thing we do in politics is, oh, we lost our race. Let's take all the rich, all those guys who made millions as consultants. They're going to take some vacation, go to Europe. You know, the candidate's going to lick his wounds a little bit. The ones who won, they're going to the first time winners, like my friend Eugene Vindman, who won his race, thank God. They have to go find offices in D.C. There's orientations, you know, rent an apartment, whatever it may be. There's a process, which is relatively slowish process. I got bad news, man. Our opponents have already got a plan, and they're ready the minute his hand hits that fucking Bible, and they're going to execute it. And so we do not have the luxury of those who want to preserve whatever we can of this country for the rest of our lives, for our children, for my grandchildren, for my friends and family, for me, to be honest. I'm 59 years old. I would like to live in a democracy for the rest of my life. But there's a very good chance we lose all of that if we don't act now and act quickly. And there's ways to fight back. And we still have power. And of course, we know that one of those big powers is public opinion and protest and exposing to the light the dark objectives that they have. It did work last time, and it wasn't comfortable. But even with power like they're going to have when this is all said and done, we have to fight back and push back against the most evil things. We have to use the courts of what's left of them. I would very much like to see Senator Schumer and President Biden use this next 60 days to push through some freaking judges and do the right thing and fill the courts up with real thinking, progressive, at least centrist judges and use the power of their presidency. I'm not necessarily sure if Mr. Biden has it in him. I don't know if Mr. Schumer does, but I'm urging them to get off their asses and do some really big stuff for the next 60 days. In the meantime, I'm thrilled to see Democratic governors are stepping up. Let's put this slide up, Matt. This is a tweet from the comms person for Governor Newsom. So Gavin Newsom is going to convene a special session of the California legislature to protect California values. He's gonna come up with a series of proposals and laws that will protect those of Americans who live in California from any excesses of the federal government, for example, for LGBTQ, as we mentioned, or transgender, or women, and protecting their right to health care. I love that. Matter of fact, hell, Governor Walz, who gave his concession speech today, actually spent time in his concession speech today talking about what he's going to do now that he's back. He's going to be the governor of Minnesota for the next 3 years. Let's watch. This is during his concession speech. This is what he says he's going to do.
Look, Minnesota always has and always will be there to provide shelter from the storm. As long as I'm governor of Minnesota, we will protect a woman's right to make her own health care decisions. As long as I am governor of Minnesota, we will welcome immigrants with gratitude for their contributions to our communities. As long as I'm governor of Minnesota, we will stand with the rest of the world in fighting climate change and developing new clean energy solutions. As long as I'm governor of Minnesota, we'll be a state that respects democracy, a place where we're proud of our civic debate and where we don't demonize people who disagree with us. As long as I'm governor of Minnesota, we will defend our kids' freedoms to go to school without worrying about being shot dead in their classrooms. And by the way, as long as I'm governor, Minnesota will always be a labor state, a state that stands with working people no matter who they voted for.
It's fall. I mean, finally in Missouri, it's fall. I mean, I'm wearing long sleeves in November. So, you need your own wardrobe full of comfortable and coordinated pieces for a layered look in this time of year, but it need warmth as well as being extra breathable. You can't, I've always despised that starchy kind of stiff workwear. It's not optimal when you need to ensure you're on your busiest days, right? I mean, important days like we've been dealing with right now in politics. With the Roan Commuter Collection, your clothing looks professional, it performs like activewear, and it feels like total comfort. And I love the fact you don't have to dry clean it, it's all washable. Now, seasons change, and we all change. It's time that men's closets change too. And Roan's Commuter Collection is the most comfortable, breathable, and truly versatile set of products known to man or known to me, that's for darn sure. Now, Roan has premium pieces to elevate every occasion. Talking about the world's most comfortable pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, polos, and blazers, all boosted with the functional performance properties that I love, making them comfortable and let me go anywhere. Now, Roan's signature technical fabrics stretch in every direction. They breathe, they fight odor and the elements, and they effortlessly work everywhere so you can stay calm and collected. Even life takes unexpected turns like it has for me recently. Now it's time for unparalleled comfort without all the hassle. Now each piece in Roan's Commuter Collection is made to coordinate and layer for an instantly elevated look. Collection also features that wrinkle release technology we've mentioned before. 100% machine washable, so it looks good that easy. I really love the fact it's true to their one and only Gold Fusion anti-odor technology. For more wears between washes, you can hang it back up and let it air out, and you'll be fresh and clean all day long. You know, I love fall. I love fall dressing. I admit it. I love my quarter zips. I love my layers. Changing seasons are an optimal time for new beginnings, and the Commuter Collection's premium look and very adaptable design is what I love the most. It's easy for me as I'm a very busy man, and the Commuter Collection works all day for me no matter what I'm doing, and it stays looking good the whole time. Frankly, it very much fit my lifestyle, which is the most important thing. Now, the Commuter Collection can get you through any workday, straight in whatever comes next. Head to roan.com/Fred. Use promo code FRED to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to RHONE.com/Fred and use code FRED. For me, I think it's time for you to embody your most confident self with the clothes that fit your lifestyle. Roan's Commuter Collection. Yeah, laying it out. And I love that. J.B. Pritzker put out over in Illinois that if you're going to come for the people of Illinois, you got to go through me. So it makes me a little crazy that we have to pick our states, but we do. When you talk about mass deportations, you know they're going to come after the blue states first to punish them. They're going to go after the blue cities first to punish them. They've already said in the plan that their intent is to use red state National Guardsmen. You know, I put out a thread. I put out a tweet that got kind of viral where I talked about the leopards eating your face, right? And I'll say this, I may read a little bit to you, but my point wasn't that is leopards always eat your face, and your favorite local restaurant closing because the nice family who owned it turned out to be illegal immigrants is going to affect people. When price of produce skyrockets immediately because there's now no one else to pick those strawberries or the cabbage or lettuce, you're going to feel that effect immediately. You know, no more FAFSA, the college loans for your kids because they decided to ban the Department of Education. I mean, there's just a million things that happen. And somebody replied to me. They said, "Well, I don't think it's going to affect." Because I said, you know, the good ones, a lot of illegal immigrants would just leave on their own, which is what the senator wants, right? Or the senator-elect wants. He wants the good ones to leave. Someone said they're not going to do that. It's like, you don't understand. They're not going to go after, when he says he's going to go to the criminals, okay, if they're talking about 15 million humans, not all of them are criminals, okay? Matter of fact, even the fake number they bandied about of like 30,000, that's not very many people. They're going to need numbers fast. And let me tell you, folks, Stephen Miller and Donald Trump are not going to want to hear, well, we have to carefully evaluate each person and look at, no, they're going to want big numbers fast because their followers are demanding it. And so they're going to have to deport immediately a shit ton of people. And where do you find those people? Has anybody been in government before? I have. They're in the database. So let me tell you who's going to get deported first. The good people who did the right thing and applied for asylum and have been going to all of their hearings properly and giving them their address and their work site address and their work card they're using. The good people who did come illegally but went ahead and tried to make themselves legal and filed with the government and have been going through the process to stay. The kids, the DACA kids, the hundreds of thousands of kids who came, the children of immigrants who have been here their whole lives, who are now trying to get naturalized and get their citizenship. They're going to come for them because you know why? It's convenient. Look, if all I have to do is open a spreadsheet and hand it out to some idiot National Guardsman, say, go scoop up these people, they're going to do that because they're going to want to be able to report on Fox News they deported 1 million people. It's not going to be a careful process. And they've admitted already they will deport citizens. Stephen Miller's already talking about denaturalization, taking people's citizenship away who got it legally. There's horrible things coming, and we have to fight it. So hearing governors like Newsom and Waltz and Whitmer and J.B. Pritzker and Josh Stein, we're going to have to fight back. But here's the thing. Even in an authoritarian government, local and state elections still matter. Look, this is why you hear all the time about, like in Hungary or in for a while there in Poland that was kind of going to the right, how important, a key province fell to the opposing party in X country. And they report it because it is important. And even in a country that's authoritarian-ish but still a democracy, local and state elections. And Matt, I want you to throw this chart up and leave it up. This is a chart I made myself, and as you can see, folks, graphic design is my passion. You know, it is what it is. I made it myself. But this is a chart of next year, folks. So here's my point. I've already seen pundits, political pundits say, well, we're going to have to get working for the midterm. Fuck that. We have 30 states having a local and county and municipal elections in 2025, starting here in Missouri, for example, in April. 30 states. Look at all those blues, the light blues you see. Those are states having local and municipal elections this year or next year, 2025. The two of them, Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, also have Supreme Court elections. And you know how important the Wisconsin Supreme Court election was last time. Well, there's another one coming up now. That's in 2025. And then in dark blue, you see two statewides. Virginia and New Jersey have total statewide offices. The governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and others are all up for election next year. And you know that Virginia, for example, is a huge bellwether. Don't forget, 3 years ago, Glenn Youngkin won that year. First time a Republican won statewide office in Virginia in a decade and a half, or 2 decades, and it shocked the world. And it was a huge moment, and it was a huge shockwave to Joe Biden and the Democrats when Terry McAuliffe lost to Glenn Youngkin. The Virginia elections is a way to send a message. Let me tell you, folks, that's happening right now. Matter of fact, the two people who registered is Abigail Spanberger, who you remember was Virginia 7's Congress member before Eugene Vindman, who just took it over, former CIA officer, okay? No slouch. She's running for governor for the Democrats. And against her is a woman named Winsome Sears, who's the current lieutenant governor of Virginia. The lady who posed with a mismatched M4 and that I don't have any clips with me, but I'll run clips of her later, of her saying the craziest stuff. She's going to be the Republican. So look, there's a really good chance to send an important message, not in 2026, not in 28, right now. 2025. And so these local elections are happening as we speak. They'll probably take a pause for the end of the elections and all. But I'm telling you, starting in January, you're going to have election if you live in any of these 30 states, from California, the entire West Coast, Montana, most of the Midwest and South. I mean, look at this map, guys. There's plenty to do. Hundreds of seats are open. And we can send a resounding message to those who want to take our country backwards into authoritarianism with all these 30 states by sending a message saying, no, we ain't having it. We ain't having it. By electing thoughtful leaders at the local level. And then look, it wasn't a total loss. I know it's hard to believe right now, but over in Oregon, they actually went further. They got more Democrats elected. They got a larger majority. They broke the supermajority in North Carolina, I believe. They stopped the supermajority in Pennsylvania. There was progress, and it's still being counted. We really don't know if the Democrats aren't going to take control of the House yet. So there is faith. There's reason to have faith. But I got to tell you, it takes work, and I know everybody's tired. You're pissed off right now. You're grieving. You don't want to, Fred, we don't want to hear your shit right now, okay? I don't know what your deal with ADHD or whatever it is, Fred, but don't you understand we just lost the election? Yes. Yes, I do. We lost an election. But I don't want to lose our fucking country. And that's our options, you guys. That's our options. So look, you can navel gaze, you can lick your wounds, you can point fingers, Bernie's doing it. You know, there's other people in the Democratic Party, in the Democratic coalition, pointing fingers at each other. Oh, the messaging was wrong. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, I had those conversations privately. I'm not going to give them to you. I don't care. I do care understanding why we lost. I do care to figure out when the numbers come out, where the changes were. We are seeing indications. There was a huge growth in minority men joining the Republican coalition. Huge growth. Over half of Latino men voted Republican. A fifth of black men apparently voted Republican. We'll know more about those numbers, but a lot of people are saying, oh, white women did it. That's true. And white men. And Gen X, my generation. Guys, there's a number going on right now, according to exit polls. And I told you at the beginning I won't listen to it, but this one, there's an exit poll number going around that 76% of Gen X white men voted for Trump. I'm 24%, I guess. And a lot of my friends, and I must have a very tight circle because, but we will figure that out. But I'm telling you right now, let somebody else freak it and figure it out. You need to get back to work because we're not going to have a country if we don't stop dorking around. And the best thing, the thing that the Republicans are counting on, the thing Trump is counting on us eating each other alive and being fractured. That's how they win, you guys. They win by taking advantage of our fighting each other. By the way, it's just how we've taken advantage of them for the last 4 years. They're so busy killing each other because they hate each other. And hopefully it's going to save us going forward. They do hate each other, but now they're extra scared. So let's be honest. They were semi-scared before. Now with Trump winning again and his MAGA minions coming into office, all those people who were kind of wiffle-waffly and did oppose the Trump movement before, forget about it, man. The Republican coalition, I believe, is going to be stronger than ever from true fear. And we cannot afford to hand them victories because the Democratic coalition, whatever's left of it, is spending more time eating each other alive than fighting them. So figure out your differences quickly and get back to work. Let me tell you my favorite joke. I'm going to end this on a joke. It's a terrible joke, but whatever, you're stuck with me. And so this guy dies and he goes to hell and he gets there and the devil meets him. And he hands him off to a demon, and the demon says, all right, you can pick how you're going to spend eternity. You know, you have options. The guy goes, okay, oh, that's weird, but okay. So they walk down the hallway. The demon opens a door, and it's this room full of flames. And there's demons in there poking these men and women in the belly. They're writhing in pain and flames. He's like, oh, I don't want that one, you know? And they go to the next one. And the next one is this room full of torture tables, and they're being tortured and stretched, and demons are poking them in the bellies again. And they're screaming and writhing in pain. He's like, oh, that's not great. What's the third one? And they go to the third one. They open the door, and it's all these, lost souls standing in this huge room full of the most disgusting excrement and offal and smell. But they're just standing there, just kind of leaning on the rocks and talking to each other a little bit. And the guy's like, oh, I guess this isn't that bad. I guess I'll take this one. And he goes in as he wades in this disgusting, foul-less, disgusting stuff. He stands there. A demon looks at his watch and says, all right, break's over. Back on your heads. So I guess my point is, break's over. Back on your heads. We had a break of 4 years from the monstrosity that is Donald J. Trump and the MAGA movement. I'm going to bemoan. I will bemoan privately if that was wasted time. Perhaps it was, but I can't, because on January 20th, they come back. They come back. And the worst thing that we can do is comply ahead of time before January 20th by giving them what they want, or not be ready on January 20th, because they're going to come out with some scary shit. You saw his video. Schedule F immediately. There are going to be there is the potential for thousands of federal employees to lose their jobs and be replaced in some very dangerous places like the IRS and the DOJ and the intelligence agencies with MAGA acolytes whose only qualification was they passed getting their social media checked and having never donated to a Democrat, perhaps. So we could have on January 20th mass layoffs of your friends in the government, or you. And if you're not ready for it, I got bad news for you. You're going to be shocked. So folks, break's over. Back on your heads. That's all we can say. I wish I was uplifting and giving you, but I am. We have the power. We have leaders in this country who are doing their best. I don't know why we lost this election. We can point fingers at everybody else. It breaks my heart that we did, and I'm not sure I'll ever come to grips with it. But I just don't have time to cry in my freaking soup about it, right? We've got to get back to work. So I guess my message for late Friday night and through the weekend for you is, I understand your pain. I understand your fear. Let it galvanize you. Let it galvanize us together. And let's fight, man. Let's get back in the fight. I don't want to have to fight for our country again, but God damn it, who else is going to do it? So, final note. Going forward, if you may have noticed, we've done almost all solo shows for the last few weeks. There's a host of reasons for that. I was traveling a lot. Guests were really busy. Had a couple of guests canceled the last minute, as they do in this business. So we're looking at the new format. We may do like a solo portion and then a short interview portion. We may just go to solo and then have a separate show that's an interview show. I don't know. We got to figure it out. It's one of the more of those things we have to figure out. But I've really loved having these conversations with you guys and being able to tell you what I think, what I see of things, and introduce thoughts to you and things I care about. You've responded wonderfully. The comments have been lovely and the views have been off the charts, and I really really appreciate that even more. So thank you for that. We've got new sponsors coming from our friends from Midas Touch. There's just a lot going on right now. And I just really appreciate you guys for sticking with us through all this. I hope you'll stick with us now in this new phase. I know a lot of people are tired of politics, so now they just want to take a break. I get it. If you take a break, you don't want to hear from me anymore. I get it. It doesn't hurt. Well, it hurts, but I get it. But I hope you'll hang in with us. And it won't always be doom and gloom like today. We're going to get back to having some fun, because in the midst of all this, if we can't have a laugh every now and then, if we can't laugh at ourselves and laugh at our opponents, we'll go crazy. So we'll get Trey Crowder back on. We'll get Chris Titus on. We're going to have to laugh a little bit, folks, to survive this. So it won't always be the sky is falling. But for today, I would love you to take this weekend to think and then figure out what you can do. And it means little things like getting to know your neighbors again, and getting involved, build a garden. A friend of mine's going to start a pickleball podcast. Great, dude. Pickleball is awesome. I can't play it. I'm too old and broken, but somebody else can. But do what you got to do to survive this time, but also do what you got to do to fight back for our democracy. I'll be here with you. The show's called On Democracy for a reason. I had plans for after the election. This wasn't it, but that's okay. My entire life has been plans going awry and then figuring it out again. And here we are. So with that, I will let you guys go. As always, we're still everywhere on social media. I am on Twitter, kinda. I've really backed off. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. The idea that the block button means they can still see your stuff bothers me, because now they can still screenshot you and turn the hordes on you. I find it very dangerous now, especially in light of Trump taking power again and the dangers that we face as Americans. So you'll see me on Blue Sky now. It's at FP Wellman, etc. on Blue Sky, FP Wellman Official everywhere else. I'd love you to follow us. I'd love you to follow the show at FP Wellman, or the On Democracy podcast on YouTube, wherever you find us. In the meantime, of course, we love the Midas Mighty. So proud to be a part of the Midas Touch Network. We've got our work cut out for us. It's different than we planned, but we'd love to be here. And of course, as always, check out Vote Vets. I've been proud to work with Vote Vets for the election. I believe I'll be continuing to work with Vote Vets online with Vote Vets. So a lot going on. It's not the plan we had, folks. Life's like that. Sometimes you don't take it. The plan doesn't go your way. But all you can do is dust yourself off and get right back to it. The mug is back, because I can't have a better sentiment than this. And with that, thanks. Let's get back in the fight.